Hey, what is up, everybody? My name is Mario Pichardo, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about doubt avoidance tendency. Now, for this one in particular, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's the tendency for people to avoid uh, feelings of doubt, and they do that by immediately making a decision on something that is coming up, or anything that may be stressful. In an easy case to really show this is just look at judges and jurors. The whole need for that system, as Charlie talks about in Poor Charlie's Almanac, is the fact that humans are going to very, very quick to come up with their decision. Did this person do it or did this person not do it? They don't want to have to sit here and mull over the evidence. But the reason we have this system is so that people are given a fair shot. That it doesn't just become a quick, oh, it's because of this, it's because of that, it's because having to make those kinds of decisions can be very stressful on the human body, and things like that. You don't want to have to deal with that kind of anxiety. You don't want to have to deal with any of that stuff. So that just, unfortunately, for better or worse, happens to be a lot of those quick decisions that we make, where we don't really kind of think too much about it, for the sake of us not having to doubt why we're making those decisions. And the reason that we bring this one to the forefront is, again, because, well, it's one of those things you don't really think about. It's something you have to be mindful of. What are those quick, stereotype judgments that we make about people? Why do we have stereotypes? Why do we make them? Because it's easier to understand someone by just making that quick judgment, by just doing that quick thing. And so doubt avoidance tendency is really saying, we categorize people, we categorize groups based on so many different things, simply for the facet of not having to consider, well, maybe this may not be true. And so it really takes that extra mile of considering that situation to really fight back this tendency. It's really about stereotypes. It's really about, oh, I've heard this about this, it must be like this. Oh, I've heard this from this person, it must be like that. First impressions have a lot to do with it. And some of the later tendencies that we'll talk about, like social proof, has a lot to do with it. And there's others as well. Contrast comparison, so on and so forth. There is a lot, which we did in the last video, contrast comparison. But in order to kind of strengthen ourselves against this tendency in particular, and it's hard to do. I mean, you try to do it as consciously as you can in that moment, is really kind of step back and say, well, maybe I shouldn't follow a stereotype for this person, but I should really kind of sit and kind of try to learn about who they are. Or maybe instead of, not, I don't know, taking up, painting because people think that's weak, maybe there is something else here. Maybe I should really think about it instead of making that quick snap judgment. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't do it. And I think it really gets abused, especially in the media and things like that, where people kind of just say, oh, this person's like this, or this, and people just kind of believe that, or they just take that as their first impression. And it's very unfortunate, I think, for a lot of people for that reason. But doubt avoidance tendency is really saying, hey, stereotypes. When you think about that tendency, think about stereotypes. Think about, all those quick snap judgments that we make, and how much how much harder it would be for us to have to make those decisions consciously, instead of just kind of saying, oh, stereotype. But I mean, this one is pretty short. This one's pretty simple. There's not too much that I think needs to be said really beyond that. I think that the best antidote to this one in particular, the antidote to any stereotype, is really what I found is to really step back. Because when we really go through all the tendencies, what you start to see is that, okay, well, what I really need to do is obviously educate myself about what each one is, but also kind of start to develop a new persona or a new way of thinking, where I am not really taking too many things for granted here. So I'm kind of saying, introducing new principles, and I'm saying, okay, well, let me judge people on the basis of their character rather than the basis of the color of their skin, or, and a lot of people, who will say, oh, I'm not a racist, I would never do that. But see, it's not about racism. It's about putting people in boxes, or not even people, putting mannerisms in boxes, putting this in boxes. It's a lot more nuanced than, than a leftist talking point. There's a lot more going on here, but I mean, to really get through this one, to get through a lot of the tendencies, we need to step back and say, how do I know that I'm right? This is something that Charlie talks about in Poor Charlie's Almanac. How do I know that I'm right? How do I know that what I believe is true? And I think that a lot of the time we'll find that, well, our evidence is very circumstantial. And so have we fallen victim to doubt avoidance tendency? Have we made just a quick snap judgment about somebody? Maybe it's not a stereotype, but maybe we made a quick snap judgment on somebody based on what limited information that we have. And we're going to stick to that. Why? Because we don't have that understanding, that we don't have all the information. We kind of get hazy, tunnel vision and things like that. So, it's just something to pay attention to. This tendency, while it's very simple, can be something that I think a lot of people could overlook. But anyway, everybody, that's all we have for this one. If you found this video to be helpful, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and share this video with your friends, anybody who you think will find it useful or helpful. And all right, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.